Welcome to the Joy School Podcast. Real talk about what it takes to create your happiest, healthiest, and most dynamic life. And now, here's your host, transformational life coach, happiness strategist, and best-selling author, Christy Ling Spencer.
Well, hello, my friends, and welcome to the Joy School Podcast. I'm Christy Ling Spencer. So glad you're here with me again this week. And I am very excited for today's show because you know when you've been connected with people online for a long time and then you finally get to connect in real life? Today, my friend Sheri Fink is going to be on the show, and we are going to be talking about finding your bliss and reducing anxiety and creating joy in a world flooded with social media and negative news. And I feel like this is an especially poignant topic this year, and she's going to share some of her best tips. Sheri is a #1 best-selling author, president of Whimsical World, an empowering brand with a mission to inspire, delight, and educate children of all ages, as well as adults, and while planting the seeds of self-esteem. She loves to write, and she's written 17 award-winning books so far, if you can believe it, and lives in Southern California. And her book, Insta Grateful, Finding Your Bliss in a Social Media World, is what inspired today's topic. And so we are going to be welcoming Sheri to the show in just a minute. But when the interview's done, be sure to stay on because I'm going to share today's Joy School habit with you as well. So thank you so much for tuning in and hanging out with me once again. So excited for this, and let's jump in.
Welcome to the Joy School Podcast, Sheri Fink. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
It's so great to finally connect. You know, when you get to connect with people that you've known on social for quite a while, and it's just such a fun thing to finally connect in real life. I'm so glad you're here.
Me too. I can't wait.
And this is going to be such an awesome conversation today. I am so excited for this topic because I feel like it is so timely with being in an election year, all the toxic and negative stuff flying around on social media, all the toxic and negative stuff in the news. It's coming at us from every direction, yet we have some power over it. So your book, Insta Grateful, and I want to make sure I get the subheadline right here. There it is. It's a gorgeous cover too. Finding Your Bliss in a Social Media World really caught my attention for this topic because I thought we could have such a great conversation today to share with people on how they can use social media to lift up their life instead of bring them down, curate their feeds so that it's full of joyful things or things that touch your passions and things that lift you up, and also set some boundaries and, boundaries around our screen time and our social so that we can really use this to our advantage instead of letting it drain us, right? So I would love to hear what inspired you to write this book. And then I would love to dive into some of your favorite tips and thoughts about these topics.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Well, I was inspired to write Insta Grateful at a time when people were really coming down hard on social media and were saying that it was causing a lot of mental distress. And obviously it does.
Absolutely.
We're not complete victims, right? Like we don't have to use it and we don't have to use it the way everybody else does. And I just kind of got tired of the victim mentality. And I was kind of like, well, I was really slow to get on the social media train. I was late to the party. I was too. But when I did get on there and when I finally started being, open yet selective about the way that I shared myself and the way that I connected with people, it was amazing. I found so much value in it. Like I'm able to connect with people from all around the world that I would have no access to otherwise. People sometimes will come to festivals and they'll meet me like as a writer and they'll cry and they're like, I don't know why I'm crying. I just feel like I know you. And I'm like, well, how do you know me? And they're like, oh, I follow you on Facebook. And I'm like, well, then you kind of do know me actually, because I shared my life, but different folks don't know how to use it in a way that's productive as a tool. They get sucked into the negativity and the drama, and it's easy to do. I will be honest.
It is easy to do, and it takes skills. It takes practice and skills to not get sucked into the toxic side and to actually curate your feeds and choose what you're seeing according to what aligns with the life you want to have, right?
100%. 100%. That's why I wrote the book. And I focus on the 5 different P's: passion, power, peace, prosperity, and panache. And I feel like social media is a tool where we can amplify all of those great things in our lives. And if we're doing that fully, then you're having more fun and it's a fulfilling experience. And it doesn't have to be the drudgery and the drama that we sometimes associate with social media.
That is so absolutely true. And, I think all of us can relate to reaching a point with some of the social media platforms like, this isn't fun anymore. That feeling when what you've curated in your feed starts to fall away and it starts to get filled with stuff you don't want to see, and you're tired and you don't really have the energy to go in and redo it again. Sometimes there is a good time to take a step back and catch your breath, right? And then go in and recurate your feed again. You just have to unfollow what isn't serving you or what's bringing you down. Or if it's your friends on Facebook, you can click that like hide for 30 days, the snooze button.
I've been clicking that button like crazy lately.
I love that button, especially this year. But curating your social media so that it serves you in a way so that your feed is filled with things that you love and people that you love, right, is really the key to using it for our advantage. So I would love to hear maybe a couple of your tips for that.
Sure. Well, I think a big part of what you're shown on social media is generated by what you actually create and share on social. So for me, I like to look at my accounts like it's my own personal online magazine. I want to showcase my friends doing cool things. I want to show my dog looking silly doing something. I want to show off my baby and her cute little outfit. I want to share all the things that matter to me. And every now and then mention, hey, I'm doing this cool book event or whatever too. You're invited. But I really want to focus on the good. And it doesn't mean that you ignore the bad, right? Because you can show that you're having a difficult time and people give you support, and that's wonderful. But you don't have to make it the whole message. I think we're all very complex beings and we have very full lives that we have any given day. You can look at the highlights or the lowlights, and then you can choose what to share. And if you're sharing the highlights, the algorithms will pick that up and they're more likely to show you things that are in the same vein as the beacon of light that you're showcasing on your feeds. It doesn't mean that you'll never see any weirdness, but at least it'll be more tailored to what kind of weirdness you like.
Yeah, exactly. Our own kind of weirdness, right? Because we all have it. But I love that that's also kind of like a metaphor that your social media feeds will, in a way, reflect the energy and the light that you're putting out, right? And that's a metaphor for life. Life reflects back to you the energy and the light that you put out. And so I love that you kind of say that about social media because it is very true. And I think it's what you're engaging with. It's what you're posting. It's what you're clicking on. So be careful not to get sucked into clicking on the toxic or negative things, because then that'll start to fill up your feed again, right? Yes, it's the algorithm. So if you love fashion and you're clicking on fashion things, you're going to see more fashion. If you love inspirational quotes and you're clicking on those, you're going to see more quotes. But if you get tempted to click on some of the negative stuff, it's going to start filling up your feed, right?
So true. And I had this huge realization about a month ago. I had someone I love very much at my home, and she's not on social media. She's never had a social media account. But during the election year, she's reading a lot of the news, and that's cool if she wants to stay informed. I respect that. But she was dumping it all on me. And I agree with her in many ways. But even though I'm in agreement, I'm not even in an argumentative state about it. I had to tell her, I was like, I love you so much, but I need a break from this. This is a lot for me. I have purposely chosen not to invest time in these energy sources because I have a lot going on in my life and I can't get bogged down energetically with this. And even though I agree with you on so many things, us having this rant about it isn't serving anyone. We're not in a political position to do anything about it, other than vote, and we will do that. But, it was so overwhelming. And I thought, this is exactly how I used to feel on social media.
Yes.
This is exactly the kind of boundary that I had to set on social media for myself.
Right.
And so that I didn't get sucked into it. And it's easy to do, but I prefer to have more meaningful conversations with this person, because I do care so much about her. And she was offended at first. And it took a few times of me reminding her, hey, I understand this thing is going on and it's upsetting you. And I get it, but I'm not the person to have this conversation with right now. Like, I can't get through this. I have all these other things to do that actually I can affect in my life, you know? And eventually she started telling someone else. And then that person complained to me that she was dumping all of that stuff on her. And I was like, well, here's what you do.
Yeah, here's what to say because it worked for me.
Yeah, here's my
I love the way you put that too, because that's such a graceful way to share with somebody that you want to change the dynamic of a conversation. I posted something the other day that really resonated where I said, it's perfectly okay to tell somebody, I choose not to participate in this conversation. You know, saying I choose not to participate is not offending someone else because you're making it about you. And, you know, you can say that out loud or you can say it quietly to yourself. Like there are many times I'm scrolling through social and I'll see something and I'm tempted for a split second to comment. And then I'm like, no, I choose not to participate in this. And I keep moving on with my life, right? I think there's power in that.
It really is. And then you just feel so much better because you're not taking on the heaviness of everything. You know, it's just choosing the things that make a difference for you and how you want to invest your time and the types of conversations that you want to have. Like you can curate that too. And it didn't occur to me years ago that I had the right to do that, but you absolutely do. Your time is the most precious resource you have.
Absolutely, 100%. I say that all the time. My biggest pet peeve in life is when my time is wasted. I can't stand it because it's so true. It is more valuable than anything. I would say it's probably tied with your health. I think health and time are the two most valuable things we have in life. And so social media really is a time suck. So let's talk about that because I think the big topic of conversation here is really not just boundaries that we're setting with other people or with the algorithms, but boundaries we're setting for ourselves because we have to be very disciplined when it comes to resisting getting sucked into those negative conversations and also the time that we're spending on screens and social. So I would love for you to share maybe some of your tips on how people can reduce their screen time, but still have social media and scrolling or posting benefit their life, but not suck it away, right?
Right. Well, for me, as a mom of a toddler, I find myself looking at myself from her perspective. And I don't want her to see mommy always on a phone. I don't like that. I don't like when I'm sitting at a table and someone else is on their phone. Like, I mean, it's one thing for a second, like they're, you know, texting someone, hey, we're at the table or whatever. But it's very off-putting. And I don't want her to think that she's not important to me. So that has cut back a lot for me because I'm not just randomly doing it because I'm conscious of it. I think paying attention and also those moments of boredom that we use the phone to fill in, we that moment of boredom, it would be okay to be bored for 4 whole minutes. You know, you might have the most creative idea pop up. Also, you're more present and you can have more conversations with people that are like waiting in line with you. Like I'm totally that girl. I'm an introvert, but I like to make friends everywhere I go. I miss that when people are all looking down and, you know, it's
Oh my gosh. I saw a meme the other day that was so true. And it had a picture of a bunch of people sitting around a restaurant table and everybody's face was in their phone. And it said, the Eagles were right in Hotel California when they said, we are all just prisoners here of our own device. And I thought, wow, what a play on words there, but isn't it true? And I love that you say that with your daughter, you know, you really are conscious about not being on the phone all the time because you want her to feel important. And also you're setting a great example for her because you're showing her that it's not okay to be on the phone 24/7. And I have also created the habit when I go to lunch with a friend or brunch or dinner, I leave my phone in my bag. Or if for some reason I need to have it on the table, it's face down because I want to give that person 100% of my attention. And something else you said, I remember there was a quote from the late Merv Griffin, the talk show host Merv Griffin. And I think he said something along the lines of only dull people get bored. So what you said about, you know, being bored for 4 minutes or whatever, like we're so used to now not having stillness. We're so used to if we're still and quiet for a few minutes, we're anxious about it and bored and we want to pick up the phone and start scrolling, right? And leaning into that quiet, leaning into that boredom, it's not actually boredom. It can be stillness. It can be time, like you said, to think creatively and let those ideas in if we just train ourselves to allow it, right?
Yes. And some platforms too, I think a lot of times people think, oh, I have to do everything or I have to do nothing. And
Yes.
I don't find that to be true. I think there are certain platforms that nurture certain types of people. And you might, if you love visuals, maybe you'll love Instagram. If you like really in-depth connection with people where you can write really long posts and add video and photos and all of the multiple images, you might like Facebook better, for example. I have found that that shifts a little bit for me depending on what I'm doing. And because I want to be on social media for my business, but I really like being there for the connection with people. And
Yes.
there are some platforms that I used to be active on and I found rewarding for a while. But in recent years, they've changed so much that I barely see the people that I'm connected to anymore. So
Right.
I completely abandoned that account. And it's sad because I have over 7,000 fans there, but I can't see them. So I'm like, why would I waste time here? Everything I see is something, blah,
Yes.
so setting that boundary for
That is
myself.
so true.
And I don't have FOMO. I have JOMO. I have the joy of missing out. I'm like,
I
every
love
time I
it.
hear something nonsense on that's coming from that direction, I'm like, I'm so happy I'm not there. I'm just so
Mhm.
happy. I don't have to waste any time there anymore. I can be in these other places. And if someone's meant to discover me, they'll discover me there.
How do I have a feel? I think I have a feeling I know which platform you might be talking about. And I largely did the same thing for the same reasons. And that brings me to something else too. We touched a little bit earlier on curating your feeds, customizing them, right? Who doesn't love something custom just for you? And you can do this with your social media. And you just mentioned, it used to be at that one that you could tap on certain people or engage with certain people and they would stay in your feed. And it's not really like that anymore. But many of the platforms, including Instagram and Facebook, are still that way. But if you're not engaging with the people that you want to see and engage with, they will disappear out of your feed. So I think one of the tips is if you're thinking about somebody and you're like, oh, they haven't been in my feed for a while, jump over to their page and click on a couple things and post a comment and they'll be right back into your feed, right?
Yes. And another thing I think people don't think about is when someone takes the time to comment on your post, that's like someone at a party saying high five. And then
Yes.
you don't like it or comment back. And then assuming it's a good comment.
Right.
If they're mean, you don't have to
delete or delete.
But if someone's like high five at a party, you wouldn't walk away and leave them hanging, right? So
No.
slapping that hand back with that like or that response makes a big difference. And then that person's more likely to see your content again, too. So the two of you will see each other's things more. And,
Yeah.
and that also makes it more rewarding because you're actually interacting rather than just monologuing.
Yes, right. And rather than just consuming, right? And I think that we are all in a place with the way the world is right now and with AI coming and, with so much to choose from on streaming platforms, we're overwhelmed with consumption. And we're stepping into a place where we're consuming so much that it's taking away from us being creative beings.
100%.
Yes, absolutely. And it's almost, I think, creating this strange low energy vibe within a lot of people when they're overdosing on screens, whether it's televisions, phones, computer, and we're not creating enough. We're not putting enough out. And I think it's so important, like you said, if you're going to be on the screen, if you're going to be on the social media, engage with people because that's what it's there for. It's why it's called social media, right? And then, like you said, get your boundaries aligned, figure out, am I on here too much? Maybe I just want to set some time for myself or be mindful of how much time I'm spending. And the same thing I would say, social media is spilling a lot over into entertainment now because you see all the TV shows, people are talking about it and buzzing it on social. And then you're like, oh, I guess I have to watch that series now. And all of a sudden you're watching 10 different series and it's taking over your life. So in reading your book, when you sent it over, I noticed there was one part where you talked about it doesn't have to be all consuming, right? And it doesn't have to take things over. Everything is connected. And I love that you said everything is connected. Social media is connected to our real lives, and our real lives are connected to social media. So I would love to maybe wrap things up with you, expanding on that a little bit. And then I want to share with everybody where they can follow you. And you have some exciting news about September 17th that we'll share after that as well. So just your thoughts on that as we wrap things up.
I think for me, like social media, I like to make it meaningful. So if I'm having a writing day, I absolutely cannot open social media early in the morning. Like it will derail my plans, even with the best intentions. Like, got to get the writing done first. And I will treat social media almost like a reward. If I get this other goal accomplished in the morning, then I can do this thing. I also plan out. So if I know, World Cat Day is around the corner or whatever, and I have a cat book, I'll plan out, okay, I'm going to post about that on that day. And then that leaves room for my fun family stuff to like fit in on the other days. And I do mean the fun stuff. Like I like to write a post as a writer. I think this is another opportunity for you to showcase your skills and to tell people why this photo or why this share matters to you. I don't like it when people post a picture and I don't even know what it is, who it is, why it matters to them. Like, where are they?
No context, right? Yes, I think that is just so draining. It's like, why are you wasting my time? I don't know what this is.
I don't know what this is. Like, but if you tell them like, wow, I've always wanted to go to Italy and here's my family in front of whatever. And I dreamt of this moment. Like, then I'm like, yes, I love this. Like, this is inspiring me. I'm going to put this on my adventure list. It's that meaningfulness matters. And to put that into your day too. So you're not just on there for hours and hours, but just saying, okay, I've got a post I want to share. I'm going to do 15 minutes to share that post. And I pre-write too. That's the other thing I do. I write something in the notes. I'm an Apple girl. So my Mac, my laptop, and my phone share the same brain. So I can be out on the go and I can just say, oh, I'll have like a quote or something that really strikes me and I'll either voice record it or I'll put it into my notes. And then when I'm at home, I can like massage that and like add the things that I'm thinking. And then when I go to post, I just copy and paste. I don't have to be on the platform manually composing. It's so hard and very distracting. So I write it first and then I can share it everywhere later. And then the benefit of that too is that if I'm looking for what did I post last year for International Book Day or whatever it is, I can do a search in my notes for the hashtag and it'll pop right up. And I'm like, oh, I can copy this and then I can tweak it, or I can say, oh, I want to do something completely different this year. It's so much easier. So it doesn't have to be hard and it doesn't have to be meaningless. I think if we do those, we cultivate the habits that make it fun and fulfilling and actually work for us. I think that's so much more worthwhile. And just be who you are, right? Like if you love unicorns and sparkly things and rainbows like I do, be that person. It doesn't have to be so hard to like try to be a robot version of yourself or, a perfect version. Nobody wants the perfect version. Like when I see a celebrity that I admire, it's usually not the person that's in the movie or the person that's on the red carpet. It's the person who's hugging their dog. It's the person who,
the human being, the real human.
Yes.
Everyone is so afraid to be imperfect on social media, but yet when you're imperfect and you're vulnerable and you post about your life and what's going on in a very real way, that's when you get the most engagement from people because that's how people connect.
Yes. And we don't want to see people who are avatars of themselves. Like we want to see the real person. And so be real. If you're a person who loves something, then go ahead and claim it. That's cool. Somebody else who loves that might fall in love with you. So give them that opportunity,
It's so true. Authenticity, I think, matters more than ever. I think people are craving it. They're craving that realness because for so long on social media, it was all about being perfect and only posting everything, only the good things and, not really being real. But I think we're leaning toward that way, which feels really good. And I also love what you shared too about chunking your time, taking 15 minutes to post this, 15 minutes to post that, because then it's not becoming as much of a time suck. It's like setting boundaries for yourself. This is how much time I'm going to spend scrolling, or this is how much time I'm going to spend on this particular post. And then I'm out. And I love that you said that.
Makes it a lot more fun too, because then you're not burdened. You're not just like, where did the time go? My whole day is blown. It's like, no, I did what I needed to do. I had some fun, had some chats, and then I'm on to the next project.
Yes. And it really is that simple, but it does require some self-management, some self-boundaries, some self-discipline. But I really invite everybody listening to take some of these tips and thoughts that we've shared and reclaim your time, reclaim your life from the screens. They can benefit you, but you don't need to allow them to take over, right? Well, with that, I want to share with everybody just a couple of quick things about you. So, I shared earlier in the interview that we've been connected on social for quite a long time. And that is one of the things I love about social media. Like you said, being able to connect with people from all over that you might not have otherwise met. And I think you are such an inspiration. For those of you listening, I highly encourage you, if you want some positivity in your feeds, go follow Sheri, because she really is all about the sparkles and the unicorns and uplifting things in such a real, authentic way. And I always smile when I see her posts. And she really posts a lot of content with great value. Now, she is the author of 17 books, as I mentioned in the intro, and many, many children's books in there, in addition to this book for adults called Instagrateful, which I encourage everybody to check out. And you have a brand new children's book coming out, right? So tell us about that, because this is so much fun.
This is Magenta, and she is a kitten lost in the woods who's looking for a place to stay dry, and she stumbles upon an enchanted cottage. But inside the cottage, she will discover a little sorceress who accidentally creates some magic and enchants her with the ability to fly and to talk. And the only problem is the white raven that lives with this little sorceress is not a big fan of cats. So you get to discover how they find out their magical abilities and the types of adventures that they're going to go on together. So I'm really excited about this book. I've been dreaming about it for years, and it's the first one beyond my little series. So it's a huge blessing to get to share it with you. And it's coming out September 17th.
That's so great. So everybody with kids, or if you just love children's books, I have friends that just love children's books. They love reading them themselves. I love them too. I mean, I still read Goodnight Moon now and then when I get my hands on it. So this is going to be so much fun. I'm actually really looking forward to it. So it's called Magenta. And the little kitty is adorable. So everybody listening to the audio of this, go check it out on Amazon, or you can catch the video. I'm going to start posting video of these interviews for those who want to go revisit the interview. You can revisit on my YouTube channel and actually see us conversing on video. So you can see it there as well. So Sheri, where can everybody find you on social media?
Well, on Instagram and Threads, you can find me at Sheri_Fink. And my name is spelled SHERI_F as in Frank, IN as in Nancy, K. And on Facebook, you can find me at Sheri Fink Fan.
I love it. And I will post those in the show notes as well for anybody listening to the show. Thank you so much for being with us today. I am just thrilled that we got to have this conversation and so grateful for all of the wonderful tips you shared. I think we all need this right now. And it just feels really good to talk about it and just be real about it, right?
Oh, I had so much fun. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you. So appreciate it. Have a beautiful afternoon and thanks for connecting.
Bye.
How much fun was that? Such a great conversation. And by the way, you all, I am going to start posting the video versions of these interviews on my YouTube channel. So jump over and find me on YouTube and hit that subscribe button, because I'm going to be revamping that channel soon. And as I've mentioned on some recent episodes, I've been going through a lot of growth and sort of re-examining how to up-level everything and bring more content to you all in simplified ways. And one of the things that is part of that goal is I'm going to be revamping my YouTube channel and posting a lot more great content there. And I've had quite a few people tell me, hey, I would love to watch the video version of the interviews on your podcast. And I was like, you know what? Let's do that. Let's take those interviews and we can post the video version right on YouTube. So I'm going to be starting to do that. So jump over, find me on YouTube. Love to connect with you there. Also find me on Instagram, because I'm going to also start posting some video snippets from the interviews there. So thank you so much for tuning in. And now it is time for today's Joy School habit. And this is where I share a simple habit that can have a big positive impact. So, this is one I started recently doing in my life. And I have to tell you, just aside from the fact energetically and health wise that I think it's potentially greatly beneficial, what it's done for my mindset and just for my emotional and mental fitness has been fantastic. So, this little habit is turning your phone onto airplane mode before you go to bed at night. And then you can take it off airplane mode in the morning with your morning tea or coffee or your morning workout, whatever something in the morning, part of your morning routine is that you can habit stack this with, because then you'll always remember to take it out of airplane mode. So I generally take mine out of airplane mode when I'm sitting and having my coffee. I play Wordle in the morning, sometimes with coffee. It's a little bit addicting. For anyone who doesn't know Wordle, it's a word puzzle with the New York Times. If you just Google Wordle, Wordle, New York Times, it'll pop up. It's just a fun little puzzle that takes like 3 minutes to do. And not only does it challenge your brain, but it also kind of clears your mind of things. It's like a mini meditation. So I do that in the morning with my coffee. And in order to get to the Wordle puzzle, I have to take my phone out of airplane mode. So very helpful. But turning your phone on airplane mode each night before you go to sleep does several things. First of all, it makes it so that you are not going to be disturbed, right, while you're sleeping. But also, it reduces the EMFs. These are the electromagnetic and radiation fields that come off your phone when it is trying to connect to Wi-Fi and when it is trying to connect to nearby towers. And by turning into airplane mode, you're only connected to Wi-Fi and it's consistent. So you are still able to use your phone when it's in airplane mode. It's just not emitting as much of the toxic energy as it does when it's always trying to reach out to towers and in full blown like operational mode. So there's just something about it that will also give you a sense of peace. It's almost like disconnecting from electronics a little bit, disconnecting from the world a little bit so that you can have a peaceful night. And that's not to say people can't text you if there's an emergency or things like that. Most people know that text will come through if you're still connected to Wi-Fi, but it's just a small little energetic thing that you can do to reduce your exposure to EMFs, but also just give yourself a little bit of extra peace each day. For me, I almost feel like it's improved my sleep a little bit. It gives me peace mentally, just knowing that I'm not having all those electronic vibes in the room while I'm trying to sleep. And I just love the action of doing it and of disconnecting. There's something about it that is very cathartic. And so give it a try. Tonight, when you get into bed, turn your phone into airplane mode. And if you're afraid you're going to forget to take it out of airplane mode, just set a little alarm for yourself in the morning. And then that'll remind you until you create a habit out of it, a Joy School habit. All right, my friends, thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of the show. I am so grateful for you all. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review. They truly help the show, and I read them all. And thank you so much to everybody who's left one so far. You can leave it on Apple Podcasts or on your favorite platform. And find me on Instagram, connect with me, find me on Facebook. Let me know what you thought of the episode. I am always reading it. I personally do my own social media, and I love connecting with you all. So before I go, remember, as always, you have the power to create more amazing days, and more amazing days add up to a pretty amazing life. Thank you so much for tuning in, my friends, and I will be back with you soon. Have a beautiful week.